Russia has thrown its weight behind Cuba at a critical moment. President Vladimir Putin is hosting Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodríguez in Moscow, while Sergei Lavrov prepares high-level talks, signaling that the Kremlin considers Havana a strategic partner, despite mounting Western pressure. Moscow says its support is firm and will continue.
The Cuban delegation is now in Moscow, led by the head of the Republic, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodríguez. They are negotiating at various levels. In a couple of hours, the Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, will meet with his Cuban colleague, Cuba's close friend and strategic partner of Russia. We express our firm solidarity with Havana in the face of unprecedented external economic and power pressure. And of course, we will continue to provide assistance and support the Cuban brotherly peoples. I would also like to announce that the negotiations will begin with the opening remarks.
This is especially relevant in the situation Cuba has found itself, our brotherly nation, as a result of the actions of the United States, which, following more than a 70-year blockade, are threatening to further tighten their inhumane and illegitimate actions. Together with the majority of the global community members, we urge the United States to demonstrate common sense, a responsible approach, and to refrain from plans of a naval blockade of the island of freedom. And of course, we categorically reject the contrived accusations against Russia and Cuba against our cooperation as allegedly posing a threat to the interests of the United States or anyone else. All issues must be resolved solely through dialogue, mutually respectful, aimed at seeking a balance of interests.
That backing comes as Cuba faces a severe fuel crisis. In Havana, garbage piles up, blackouts stretch longer, and transport slows as diesel shortages idle more than half the capital's waste trucks. The strain intensified after an executive order by US President Donald Trump threatened tariffs on countries supplying oil to the island. While Russia offers political backing, Mexico is delivering humanitarian relief. 2 naval ships carrying more than 800 tons of food and hygiene supplies have docked, with aid now being distributed in Mayabeque and Havana, prioritizing children and vulnerable families. But Mexico is drawing a careful line when it comes to fuel.
We will continue sending humanitarian aid, food, and some other requests that the Cuban government has made to us that it needs for its people. For now, we will not send fuel, although it must be very clear that we do not agree with this imposition of tariffs on countries that sell oil to Cuba. We state that we do not agree, and we continue helping the Cuban people in different ways. It is humanitarian aid.
On the ground, the crisis is deeply personal. Forklifts unload rice, sardines, and canned fruit into warehouses as residents queue for ration supplies, grateful but aware that food shipments cannot power an energy grid. The humanitarian relief offers temporary comfort in a system strained by fuel deprivation.
There are sweet biscuits, there are tins of peaches in syrup, those products.
Thank you very much for the donation you made to the children.
Cuba's energy shock intensified after US action disrupted oil flows from Venezuela under President Nicolas Maduro, severing a critical supply line to the island. Without Venezuelan crude and under threat of secondary sanctions, Havana's power grid and public services have come under severe strain. Cuban officials call it an economic siege. Washington calls it leverage. Beyond Moscow and Mexico, Cuba is seeking broader diplomatic backing, including outreach to China, Vietnam, and Spain. As Russia publicly reinforces its support and the United States escalates tariff threats, the island risks becoming more than a humanitarian crisis. It may be emerging as a renewed geopolitical flashpoint in America's own hemisphere,